Good morning, everybody. Let's think about on how to improve our cities, how to contribute from our role of citizens. We are at the historical moment of humanity where cities are leading all changes in human development. Empires ended with the First World War. After the Second World War, we had a world made of countries. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we can walk on the edge of cities. Cities are changing the world, consuming the most of energy, also emitting greenhouse gases. And there are the ones that generate the most of wealth globally. It is the cities that, in the context of peace and economic stability, lead the world. They no longer need their countries. They work in blocks. They act for the different civilizations that we have on Earth. And on this idea, the cities are permanently competing for talent, for the 1.7 billion millennials that are out there deciding which is the best city to develop their full potential. These cities, at the same time, are aligning themselves with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and these mark their developments in new technologies under the Smart Cities paradigm. Well, how can we, from our role of citizens, help cities? Help our city to become more human, to achieve those goals? I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about the four most important challenges where citizens can contribute. We're going to talk about how to fight climate change by helping to decarbonize our cities. I'm going to talk about how to establish sustainability guidelines, have circular economy environments in order to prevent our planet from running out. Finally, I will talk about how to connect with the city, how to develop that feeling of belonging, how to contribute not only with taxes to the development of our city, and finally try to make the myth of artificial intelligence disappear. Artificial intelligence is super important, is very beneficial, and is here to help us. It has been spoken before that we are in an environment of maximum urgency. I don't like being a catastrophist, but it is clear that we all have to make a collective task, and this will require a unique effort, a huge, wide effort that had not been made before since World War II. All the planet has to collaborate in fighting climate change. Here, right now, we have 414 particles per million of CO2 in this atmosphere today. But this air, the air that we are breathing here, could be yesterday in another remote place, or it could be in Antarctica, as we have said before. The atmosphere is unique. It's no longer a question of my house, my city, my. No, it's a question of the whole world. We don't have a plan B. We don't have a planet B that we can move to. We have to take care of the one we have. And in this situation, as you can see, we have to mobilize. We have to try to help our city with these decarbonization goals. How to get it? Let's look at the 3 R's. On one hand, reduce our consumption of raw materials that are going to produce CO2. Use renewable energy. Replace our energy consumption by renewables that do not produce CO2. And finally, try to help the city to eliminate or sequestrate CO2 from the environment. The only thing we have that sequesters or reduces and fixes CO2 from the air is a tree. Let's also try to contribute to plant more trees, to have more forest masses. They are talking about buildings made of wood that fix that carbon in a place that will remain there for many years. And above all, let's try not to burn anything. Let's try not to produce more CO2. Cities move in the direction of trying to achieve carbon neutral status, to have a balance between the CO2 that they are emitting because of the city management processes and the CO2 that they capture through the forest and the other additional activities. And this is not enough. We had to go to a carbon negative paradigm. That's to absorb more than what we emit. It's the only way to reduce what we already have in our atmosphere right now. To me, this is one of the problems that worries me the most, because it requires a global conscience, and because the experts do not agree either. There are some who say that situation is irreversible. It is clear that if we reach these concentrations of 430 particles per million, the temperature will rise 2 degrees centigrade. And then we will experience truly catastrophic consequences for our planet. This already happened before, true, with a massive extinction of life, 95% extinction. So let's go for it. Let's try to mitigate it. Another issue that worries me is the ethical question. The cities and people who have contributed the most to this situation are the ones who will suffer the least consequences. There will be many other people in countries where the sea level will rise by 5 meters, where they will be hit by enormous droughts, and where they will suffer especially this climate change. Let's every day think for a while about what my CO2 contribution is. In the car that I'm using to come here, in the steaks of meat that need a lot of CO2 emissions. Did we use clean energy? Is my electricity consumption really based on renewables? Let's try to put a little focus on that. Second question. We work and live in a linear consumer paradigm. In other words, we use raw materials, then produce goods, then dispose them as a line. Okay? Okay. Why don't we try to make a circular process where all that we discard is later refeed, or so we use it again? We only have one planet, as I have said before, and we are consuming 1.7 times what the planet generates for us every year. That 0.7 times in excess are consumed from reserves that are not regenerated. We are destroying our planet. If we only use what the planet generates, we could only live till July 29th. And here in Spain, we would stop consuming things by May 28th. We are, from that day on, consuming the planet's reserves. Everything that we produce and dispose in terms of plastics is especially important. This is a huge problem. Plastic are wonderful materials, but they last a long time. And we have to handle and manage them very carefully so they don't end up at Antarctica with the penguins. Especially important are microplastics, which are already being incorporated into animals, into fish. We are even polluting the fish. Very soon, we will have more plastic than fish in the seas, which is a real atrocity. Cities are moving. In the C40 declaration of cities, there are more than 23 cities with clear commitments in this regard. And what can we do in our first steps? Okay, fundamentally, again, 3 R's. Reduce the amount of new materials, reuse the goods we already have, and take care that everything that we discard is recycled. Okay, that's super important. Reduce especially plastic, mainly in packaging, bags, and other materials. If we go to one of the restaurants that are here in this building, that are mainly providing fast food, it is a massive amount of plastic packaging that we are using. Is that really needed? Reuse. Let's take our glasses with us or our mug to work. We can wash and reduce them, okay? Let's try to fix things. We are used to, the radio is no longer working, then we throw it away. Can we try to fix it? Maybe it simply ran out of batteries, or you didn't know how to plug it. Use rechargeable batteries. Here's a very interesting example. We can buy even top-tier brands' goods without buying the container. We buy the content only. They reuse the container. They clean it and refill it. Why am I going to pay for that continent that later goes to end up in the trash, then in the ocean, then in Antarctica? Okay, and especially recycling, being very clear about what we are going to do with our waste. These are small things that altogether can make a big impact. Third big question. Cities are right now in a situation where they need to connect with the citizen. They have started to invest in a smart cities environment mainly to solve internal problems. Now they are in a moment where data is massively collected. It's mainly coming from the wall of Internet of Things and is used to monitor the city, to give us a better service. But cities are already plenty of data. 73% of the data they have is not analyzed. And they have a problem. They are disconnected with the citizens. The citizen is a person who walks around, and once every 4 years we touch him like this on his back, and we say, hey, can you trust on me? Can you give me your vote? And what have you done for me in these 4 years? How have you connected to me? How have I been able to contribute to improve the city? We are in a situation where cities are trying to move from the concept of datapolis, data, big amount of data, to the concept of participolis, that is, to put all this data to work for the citizens. The idea is to make a Copernican shift from a city focused on data to a city where I put the citizen at the center. And I place the data around. Yes, I need data for sure, but this data is there to serve the citizen. In that sense, we are used to our city giving us things, and we have to ask ourselves, as JFK said once, what can we do also for our city? And we can do many things. We can contribute with our information, we can collaborate, we can participate, we can report things that are broken, we can provide our opinion. It is very interesting for them. Also allow our citizens to enter into our smartphones, to communicate with us. Please allow them to access, give them some certain part of our privacy. Let's make the city have the opportunity to connect with us. From the city side, they are very much proactively trying to offer services. They are trying to use everything they know about us to improve and to adapt the quality of the services, and trying to anticipate and predict what could be our next service that we need, and then proactively offer us to that service. We can try to make life easier for our leaders as well. And finally, a lot about artificial intelligence. And that really scares us. We are in a situation where technology, artificial intelligence, has reached parity with humans in terms of sensing, sight, hearing, smell, language, understanding. Okay, we are in a situation where everything artificial intelligence does is because it has been coded by a programmer, a human. Okay? But we are pointing to the following stages where artificial intelligence is going to develop systems that will have emotions, feelings. They will become self-aware of themselves, self-conscious. Okay, but always run by humans who have developed them and who respect and observe the most strict ethical principles. We are very afraid because 91% of the companies are massively using artificial intelligence because they are fundamental tools to improve our lives and to achieve the living standards that we have set ourselves. This is very scary. We are in a movie theater here today. I have counted more than 200 films where dystopian futuristic societies were posed. Absolutely science fiction environments where cyborgs, machines dominated the world. Artificial intelligence made humans slaves. This is pure fiction. This is doing a lot of damage to our perception and our confidence in technology. Technology can be used for good or for bad. We know that for many years. But technology is super necessary. It's a great enabler. It allows us to do things. It is never a destination. It's a companion. It allows us to manage the world. It allows us to better develop our lives. We need to trust on artificial intelligence. And we trust that these developments are made with the utmost respect for ethical principles, always putting human dignity first, with transparency, with ability to handle our information very properly, allowing us to manage our privacy. We own our identity. We had to be very obsessive when it comes to preserving our identity, choosing who manages our virtual identity, because it's our presence in the world, in the massive virtual world. And 4 messages to finish, 4 topics where we can help our city. On one hand, the 3 R's in terms of reducing carbon emissions, electrifying our lives, and use electricity generated from renewables. Let's try to stop emitting CO2. Please don't burn anything. Quit smoking, please. Notice that the atmosphere is unique, that the air we have here goes all over the world. It's a collective situation. On the other hand, the circular economy, the materials that our Mother Earth gives us, how we use them, how we handle them. Let's cut down on new materials. Let's reuse things. Don't go shopping without the bag if you need one. Sometimes you don't need it. If you buy a loaf of bread, why don't you need a bag? There are many times where we are overexploiting the materials our land gives us. Let us try to collaborate with our city, becoming good citizens, have civic behaviors that cooperate to build and to co-create a better city. Let's be partners in the development of our city to make a better one, more competitive, more attractive for talent. And finally, let's trust artificial intelligence. There are new developments, most very advanced, that allow us to reach new heights in human and scientific development worldwide. It's a task for all of us. As the great urban planner Jane Jacobs once said, we cannot get a better city if we are not all there, if we do not all contribute to co-create that city, something that allows us to have a better life for everyone. The city is an encountering place where humans meet. It is the one that allows us to develop our social facet. Okay? Let's try to make it the best place also for the human benefit. Thank you very much.